Hello everyone, glad to be back. Today is 21st of November, now it's 15 past 9 in the morning Moscow time. I'm Levan Gudadze and this is my first update for the day in which I will share all the main news that are making headlines in Russian media outlets and Russian language pages on different internet platforms. There are quite a few very significant developments and news that I like to share with you for this moment, but before I start let me make major announcement, which is that today, on live stream, 8 o'clock Moscow time, we will have a guest, Matthew Ehret, senior fellow at American University in Moscow, founder of Canadian Patriot Review, author of several books, and expert in geopolitics and historian. I'm absolutely sure interview or conversation with Matthew can be very interesting, personally for me and hopefully for our community also. So I hope you will find the time to join the live stream, 8 o'clock Moscow time this evening. And well, that's been said, let's talk about news now. And well, first of all, short summary of the situation on Ukrainian battlefield. During the previous night, Russian armed forces conducted strikes on logistical and military infrastructure of Kiev regime in several directions. I did share information about it on my Telegram. So according to reports from a number of sources, last night the Russian armed forces carried out drone and missile attacks on the military and logistics infrastructure of Zelensky's regime in the direction of Volyn region, which is here, by the way, in the western part of Ukraine, also in direction of Khmelnytsky region, which is here, also Dnipropetrovsk region, and the Kiev region. And I guess during the day, Russian Defense Ministry will share with us, with public, additional information about more detailed information about areas that was attacked by Russian side. I guess it was airfields, possibly, also warehouses where Ukrainian side is storing military equipment, maybe even Western-made battle tanks, Abrams battle tanks, for example, which we did not see on the front line, not even once. And quite possibly Russian side did target also ammunition and fuel depots. But yet again, let's see what Russian Defense Ministry will share with us, what information. And well, when it comes to situation on line of contact, yesterday Russian Defense Ministry did share information about previous 24 hours, about results of clashes during the previous 24 hours. And according to Russian Defense Ministry, according to Russian militaries, Ukrainian side, as a result of military operations, lost about 350 military personnel, which is lowest number when it comes to daily casualties for many months. I cannot even remember when last time Ukrainian side had such a low number of casualties, according to reports from Russian Defense Ministry. So we can assume that military operations on all the sectors of the front line decreased significantly, and we can explain this with weather conditions, with deteriorating weather conditions. That's a primarily reason, I guess, for a decrease in activity, because it's a muddy season already. And country roads are basically almost unpenetratable for armored vehicles, and in such conditions, of course, it's difficult or almost impossible to conduct armored offensive operations. Although in several areas we did see this kind of operations, and I will share with you information about that also. And in some areas, by the way, on the northern sectors of the front line, it's even snowing already. So I guess weather conditions are main reason of decrease in activity, although it will take about a week or two, maybe a little more, and winter weather will begin to play its role. And once ground will become usable again for armored vehicles, we will probably see again increase in activity on the front line. But let's go sector by sector. So Kherson region, it's mainly artillery duels between the sides, drone strikes, and constant attempts from Kyiv regime to reinforce their footholds on the left bank of the Dnieper river, which is a trap for Ukrainian military personnel. But for whatever reason, Kyiv continues to send more and more units on the left bank in this trap to conduct suicidal operations. I guess media attention is much more important for Zelensky and his associates than lives of Ukrainian soldiers that have been lost during these suicidal offensives in the Kherson direction. According to some reports, Ukrainian army already lost about 1,000 military personnel just in the Krinky area, by the way. Killed and wounded, just in the Krinky area. Just imagine overall number of casualties if you take in account Oleshki direction of Golaya Pristan and the constant fights for control over these islands in the Dnieper River. So yet again, Kherson region was Russian side prepared the trap in Kherson region. Russian side did knew about increased concentration of Ukrainian forces on the right bank of the Kherson region, and this trap, at least for now, definitely are active and are used to neutralize as many Ukrainian formations as possible. As I said in previous updates, Ukrainian side have no chance to achieve any more or less significant success in any of the sectors of the front line, including Kherson region, by the way. But yet again, Kyiv regime prefers to have at least some media attention, and of course Western media outlets did devote some time and some articles to these activities of Ukrainian forces in Kherson direction, introducing this situation around, let's say, Krinky as some kind of breakthrough, when in reality it's just a trap, man. It's just a trap. But uninformed people will will probably believe that, wow, after failed counteroffensive in Zaporozhye and South Donetsk region, Kyiv regime finally is achieving something in Kherson region, which is not true, by the way. They are achieving nothing at all. Just a small foothold in Oleshki area, right next to Antonovsky Bridge, and also next to railway bridge, destroyed the old railway bridge, and in Krinky area. If this is breakthrough, then maybe I don't know meaning of that word. So overall, by the way, in Kherson region, Russian side is in full control, and are using, as I said, this trap on the left bank, and will continue to use this trap as long as Kyiv regime is willing to sacrifice its best, at this point, best and most capable military formations to conduct these suicidal operations. When it comes to Zaporozhye and South Donetsk sectors of the front line, activities, as I mentioned earlier, decreased significantly, although Russian Defense Ministry did report that in South Donetsk direction, Ukrainian forces did try to conduct counteroffensive with the support of armored carriers, armored personnel carriers, and once several Ukrainian military armor was destroyed, Ukrainian forces just spread in the forested areas in this sector, and eventually were neutralized by Russian artillery. So according to Russian Defense Ministry, during this suicidal counteroffensive, Ukrainian forces lost about 70 military personnel for no reason whatsoever. Yet again, primarily example of suicidal operation on part of Ukrainian forces. Initiative in South Donetsk sector totally is in Russian hands, and it's only a matter of time, I guess, that when Russian forces will establish control over the Staraya Mayorskaya, Urozhaynaya, and probably they will continue move forward towards Makarovka, Blagodatna, and so on. Eventually, entire this Vremovsky salient will be back into Russian control, as it was before the so-called Ukrainian counteroffensive began. And also in Zaporozhye direction, there was some report that Ukrainian forces did try to conduct local-scale offensive operations in direction of Novoprokopovka without any significant success, and then Russian side began conducting local-scale offensive operations. But yet again, we are talking about local scale that are not really influencing overall situation on this sector. Only question remains at this point when Russian forces will encircle Ukrainian militaries in Orekhov bridgehead. That's only question I have personally, because it's obvious that Ukrainian forces would not be able to achieve pretty much anything in Zaporozhye sector or any other sector of the front line. Also, of course, Donetsk direction. On the southern flank of Donetsk direction, main hotspots are Marinka, Krasnogorovka, Avdiivka, of course. And when it comes to Avdiivka, Russian forces are step by step continuing to improve their positions. Although, as I said many times before, I don't see any reason why Russian forces will begin offensive or military operations inside the Avdiivka or assault on Avdiivka at this point, when they can wait 3 to 5 weeks, and when lack of reinforcement, lack of munition, lack of any supplies will begin play will severely deteriorate battle readiness of Ukrainian forces, together with the weather conditions. At that time, I guess, will be more appropriate to conduct final assault on Avdiivka garrison. And that's what will happen, in my understanding. And before that time, next several weeks, Russian forces will just, increase pressure step by step, and will try to improve current positions to prepare this final assault. So I do not expect that there will be in full encirclement of Avdiivka in upcoming days, or assault on the city itself. And also, dear friends, we had some reports that Russian forces did manage to improve their positions in Marinka direction. Although when I'm seeing these videos, by the way, from Marinka, it's really hard to understand which positions have to be taken, because it's just a field, it's just a ruins and like empty field, nothing to hold on to or to hide behind. So I guess Marinka, this 5 to 10% of Marinka that is still formally under control of Ukraine will become under full Russian control simultaneously with the final push on Avdiivka. Let's continue. There are some reports, by the way, that Ukrainian forces removed almost all the units from Marinka, and just 1 or 2 platoons are continuing to hold on to some areas in this western corner of Marinka. And when it comes to northern flank of Donetsk direction, Bakhmut and surrounding areas, initiative is in Russian hands. And Russian forces are conducting local-scale offensive operations on the southern flank and the northern flank of Bakhmut, in Andreevka, Klishevka areas, and also in area of Khramovo, in area of Birkhovka water reservoir. So at this point, yet again, nothing is happening in the scale that will influence overall situation. And same can be said about northern sectors of the front line, from Seversk to Kupiansk. Artillery duels between the sides, drone wars, and local scale reckoning force operations. Overall, I will say operational pause is holding, and well, as time goes by, we are closing into a point when Russian side will begin its decisive actions. I believe it will happen in January, towards end of the January, most likely, or in the first half of the February. Until then, we will see this type of developments when it's mainly local scale skirmishes between the sides or operational pause. That's how I call this type of situation, when there is no decisive movements on any of the sectors of the front line. And this is it when it comes to short summary of the situation on Ukrainian battlefield. I remind you, dear friends, that there are many specialized channels, military channels, that devote much more time to these local scale skirmishes. And if you are interested in such details, then of course I recommend those channels. You can see links to channels that I'm talking about under this video in description box, in recommendation list. Military summary, of course, DPA War or Defense Politics Asia, Web Union, and of course, host of Duran Show, Alexander Mercuris, on his personal channel, also provides us on daily basis with detailed analysis and updates on situation on Ukrainian battlefield, and also about Middle East, of course. And well, that's been said, before I continue with some additional news, let me note, dear friends, that this project with several channels on YouTube, Rumble and Telegram exists solely thanks to support of members of our community, and I will be immensely grateful if you will also consider to support my work with small donations through PayPal, Buy Me a Coffee, or by subscribing to my Patreon page. You can see links under this video in the description box. That's been said, let's continue with some additional news. And TASS News Agency reported that this morning, early hours of this morning, Russian air defense systems shut down Ukrainian drone over the Kursk region. Yet another attempt from Kiev regime to strike deep inside Russian territory. Fortunately, Russian air defense systems were ready to deal with the aerial threat. Also, RIA Novosti, by the way, is reporting that, well, according to Kiev regime, Kiev officials, since the escalation in Middle East between Israel and Palestine, shell deliveries to Kiev regime decreased more than 30%, and this was also reported by ABC, by the way, US media. So, well, I don't have reason not to believe in this news. I guess priority, of course, is Israel for US and other NATO member states, and I would not be surprised if this number, if shell deliveries to Kiev regime will decrease more than 50% in next week or two, as battles intensify in the Gaza Strip, and also, unfortunately, between Israel and Hezbollah, Lebanese Hezbollah. Let's continue. RT is reporting that, well, according to Russian Foreign Intelligence Service, West wants young blood in Ukraine's army. So let's read several sentences. Washington and London want Kyiv to further expand its mobilization efforts following the stalled summer counteroffensive to supposedly demonstrate Russia's inability to prevail in the Ukrainian conflict. The Russian Foreign Intelligence Service claimed in the statement on Monday. One of the suggestions backed by Western nations allegedly involves altering the draft age in Ukraine to allow Kyiv to call up teenagers and elderly. The drastic measures are needed to substitute the heavy losses the Ukrainian troops have sustained during the largely unsuccessful summer offensive. The statements added, according to Russian Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu, Ukrainian forces lost more than 90,000 service members over course of operations between June and October alone. The American and British curators recommended that Ukraine leadership lower the draft age to 17 years and increase draft age to 70 years, as well as call more women to arms. The SVR said in the statement, citing reliable data it obtained. So, well, this is quite significant development, especially for Ukrainian society, because it seems like Washington and London are determined to get rid of all more or less battle-ready citizens of Ukraine, and to get rid of them on the Eastern Front, let's say this way. And why Washington and London are keen to force Kyiv regime to draft teenagers and elderly people, just about anybody who can carry a weapon. Main reason, in my understanding, is that Western ruling class wants to make sure that once NATO member states, by the way, will begin establishing control over the western regions of Ukraine, and you know my take on this topic, I'm quite sure once this conflict will end, most of the Ukrainian territory will be controlled one way or another by Russian forces, and the western regions of Ukraine will become under control NATO member states, namely Poland, Hungary, Romania, and possibly Slovakia, with support of other NATO member states. And when NATO will move into western Ukraine, they want to see as minimal resistance as possible. And I remind you, dear friends, that strong western Ukraine, especially Lvov and surrounding areas, are basically main stronghold of Ukrainian neo-Nazis, and for ideology of Ukrainian neo-Nazis. So if ruling class in the West are afraid that they will experience some resistance in the western regions, they are not mistaken. Ukrainian neo-Nazis, they hate everybody, by the way, not just Russians, but everybody, including Poles, including Hungarians, Romanians, just all of them. And they will, of course, resist. And that's why Washington, London, and I guess Warsaw and many other capitals in the NATO are determined to, force Kyiv regime to, send to the Eastern Front as many people that can carry weapons as possible, so that it will be Russia who will find itself in a situation that it has to neutralize all this hostile military personnel. That's what is happening, by the way, and that's why Washington and London is pushing Kyiv regime to conduct such a move. And also, I believe it's not a random coincidence that exactly these days, by the way, in Ukraine, media, so-called media, and officials, and including, by the way, representatives of these neo-Nazi units, began pushing this narrative that there is no reason why students and young people should not be mobilized, because, according to them, these people are very well capable to carry a weapon, and they should be mobilized. So in fairly short time, I'm afraid we will see significant increase in this forceful mobilization in Ukraine, when youngsters and females, by the way, will be forcefully mobilized and sent to the front line. Best these youngsters and females can do is run from Ukraine, if they can. let's continue. TASS news agency is reporting that well, Zelensky, by the way, once again disapprove any possibility that he will have peace negotiations with Russia, with Russian counterpart. First of all, I don't think Russian president will even think about talking with Zelensky. Man, he's nobody. Zelensky is nobody, by the way, and he didn't deserve to be respected or to seen as someone with whom anybody can negotiate anything whatsoever. That's a major point. So no one cares about Zelensky's opinions, but this information once again highlights how out of touch leadership, so-called leadership of modern Ukraine is. That they are, despite catastrophic situation that Ukrainian armed forces are seeing on daily basis on the front line, in Kiev, Zelensky and his inner circle, they are still in illusion that they can defeat Russia or achieve some breakthroughs here and there, and they are very much delusional, by the way, and absolutely inadequate. Absolutely inadequate. And RT is reporting that, well, as we know, yesterday, Defense Secretary of US, Lloyd Austin, was visiting Ukraine. He had meeting with Zelensky, which is when these people, by the way, high-ranking officials are meeting with Zelensky, do they realize that they are destroying their own reputation, if they have any? Because how are you gonna treat Zelensky seriously, man? How? It's I don't know, man. So this criminal Lloyd Austin had a meeting with Zelensky, and he promised that US will provide some $100 million worth of assistance, military assistance. And according to some experts, by the way, $100 million are about amount of money that Kiev regime approximately spends on daily basis, every single day. Kiev regime spends on its military campaign about 100 million. So Lloyd Austin went to Ukraine for this far from US to give Zelensky 1 day worth of money or munition and weapons. No, of course not. This 100 million in this case plays no significant role. Main reason why Lloyd Austin went to Kiev is, of course, to intervene in internal situation in Ukraine, and probably to persuade Zelensky that it's time to begin preparation for leaving office, one way or another, maybe through elections, or maybe through a regime change operation. It all depends what kind of scenarios Washington and London will choose finally. But I guess they want to make sure that Zelensky and his inner circle will understood orders and will leave position of power when it's necessary, when they are told to do so. And I guess because just about a week or two ago, CIA director was in Ukraine. Now Lloyd Austin went to Ukraine. And today, by the way, just a few minutes ago, I did share information on my Telegram that German Defense Minister Boris Pistorius also arrived in Kiev on unannounced visit. So I guess all this activity is due to this attempt from the West to make sure that Zelensky understood, and he will not refuse to leave office when time is right. Maybe through elections in 2024, maybe through regime change. It all depends yet again which scenario will be chosen by by his Western masters, and let's see if they are successful. Let's see if they are successful. We on daily basis are observing how detached from reality Zelensky are and his associates. So they may refuse, by the way. If they lost understanding that they are just puppets in hands of Washington and London, if they began taking themselves seriously, like they are someone or mean something, in that case they will try at least to hold on to power, and that's gonna be issue for West. So, and that's why they are, these high-ranking officials one by one are now rushing to Kiev to make sure that these so-called leaders, political leaders of Ukraine, understood where their place really is. But let's continue. RIA Novosti is reporting that in Kiev, by the way, officials did make statement that there is no confrontation between Zelensky and Zaluzhny. Zaluzhny is the head of general staff, of course. And this was reported, by the way, by Guardian, a British newspaper, based on statements of head of presidential office in Ukraine, Mikhail Podolyak, who said that Zelensky is a head of state. He is a leader of Zaluzhny also, and there can be no confrontation between them. Stupid statement, really. Why Guardian did write this, I don't understand. But yet again, Western media is in such a low level at this point that they can write any crap, just about anything, really. Of course, there is confrontation between Zelensky and Zaluzhny. It's just too obvious. In upcoming days, by the way, we will probably see how Zelensky will remove several more generals from Zaluzhny's inner circle, or generals that are close to Zaluzhny. And if he has any political ambitions, or if his Western masters have plans to put Zaluzhny in place of Zelensky, then they have to act, by the way. They have to act now, because on daily basis this confrontation between these two groups are increasing, and situation may go out of hands before end of this year. Nothing to say about possible elections in 2024, which may, never take place. So maybe we will see some drastic changes in leadership of Ukraine even before end of this year. That's quite a possibility. And well, this is also interesting, by the way. TASS News Agency is reporting about also article in Guardian, British Guardian, in which very same Mikhail Podolyak did mention during the interview that relationships between Kyiv regime and countries in the Middle East have been deteriorating because of the strong stance of Zelensky in support of Israel, and this is gonna be issue for Kyiv regime, because according to some reports, new defense minister of Ukraine was appointed, Rustem Umarov, who is a Crimean Tatar, by the way. He was appointed as a defense minister precisely to somehow manage and improve relationships with the Muslim world, especially with Turkey. But then some reports emerged in Turkey that this individual, by the way, Umarov, had some ties with Gulen, which is personal enemy of Erdogan. Gulen lives in US, and he is a kind of leader of this shadow leader of Turkish opposition. And well, some media did report that This individual, Rustem Umerov, new defense minister of Ukraine, has some ties with Gulen. And if that's true, then he is a dead man for Erdogan. He is nobody for Erdogan. And there is not even slight chance that this individual will manage to improve relationships with Turkey. It's impossible. Or any other country in Middle East, by the way, for that matter, including because of this stand of Kyiv regime about full-fledged support of Netanyahu's government and its actions. But topic is interesting. Topic itself, that Kyiv regime, despite attempts to improve relationships with the Muslim world, is failing. Of course they are failing, man. In every terms, in every direction. Not just in relationships with, let's say, Middle Eastern countries or Global South. RT is reporting also that time is running out short for US military aid to Ukraine. This was reported on NBC, US media outlet. Let me read some sentences from this article. So the chances of the US Congress approving significant aid for Ukraine alongside funding for other causes will be drastically reduced if a bill is not passed by end of the year, NBC News reported on Sunday, citing sources on Capitol Hill. A clash on supplemental spendings is expected after the Thanksgiving races. Last week, US lawmakers in both chambers approved a bipartisan stopgap spending bill to allow the government to operate through early 2024. The legislation deliberately avoided any political hot-button issues in order to source votes for both Democrats and GOP. Nevertheless, the more conservative wing of the House Republicans oppose it for not including budget cuts. Overall, by the way, of course, we are talking about this Biden's initiative about 105 or 106 billion dollars for Ukrainian aid for Israel, Taiwan, and some border security. All these spendings have been combined in one draft bill, which will probably pass at some point before end of this year, I believe, because how else, man? This is last big paycheck for U.S. military-industrial complex from Ukrainian story and for U.S. corrupt officials. So, of course, they're gonna pass this bill. They're just gonna trade little more, little longer. Who will receive what, how much, and when, and so on. It's just a trade, by the way. This bill, maybe not 105 billion, little bit reduced, but will be passed anyway. And some funds, if not 60 billion, then 40 or 30 billion will be allocated for Kyiv regime. 100% sure about it. But let's see. RIA Novosti is reporting, by the way, that and now next big topic, escalation in the Middle East. So RIA Novosti is reporting that Israel refused to cooperate with the MUS, international, so-called International Criminal Court, about Palestine. Unsurprisingly. But yet again, I did not see any statements from MUS, from International Criminal Court. And I'm 100% sure, by the way, that there will be no actions from ICC against Netanyahu or Netanyahu's government. They will probably not even make a single statement about it. Because they are tool of Western ruling class. This so-called institution, International Criminal Court, is a tool or weapon in the political weapon in the hands of Western ruling class, and I don't think they will allow anybody, any so-called judge of this institution, to say single critical word about Netanyahu, his government, and their actions. TASS news agency is reporting that Hamas, by the way, did reported about destruction of 60 military vehicles of Israeli army during the previous 3 days. No way to confirm this information or deny. We all see these videos of close range combat in the Gaza Strip, in the northern parts of Gaza, when fighters of Hamas are almost in point blank range shooting at launching RPGs and ITGMs on Israeli military vehicles. So Israeli side definitely has some significant losses in the manpower and military equipment, but when it comes to exact numbers, of course, it's difficult to say. Both sides, of course, are engaged in informational campaign, and we will learn through information about casualties on side of Israeli army or and losses on side of Israeli army or Hamas side after this conflict will end. RT is reporting, by the way, that head of EU diplomacy once again did spoke about Israel and slightly criticized, calling for Israel to obey the rules of war. So Israel must take all necessary measures to avoid civilian casualties as it continues its aerial and ground attacks in the Gaza against the Palestinian armed group Hamas. EU High Representative for Foreign Affairs Joseph Borrell has said in an interview with the Spanish daily El País on Monday. Borrell, who admitted to being a bit pro-Palestinian, reiterated that while he condemns Hamas attacks on Israel, one horror does not justify another horror, referring to the relentless bombing of the enclave. Well, he basically did repeat what he said several days ago also, that one horror did not justify another one. Yes, that's true. Sometimes even Borrell may say something adequate, but these calls from EU, of course, will have no influence on Netanyahu's government at all. I don't think they will even listening or taking seriously these EU bureaucrats. TASS news agency is reporting that President of Iran did call for 50 countries worldwide to impose some pressure on Israel so that Israeli military operations in the Gaza Strip will stop. Among those countries, of course, are also Russia, China, South Africa, Turkey, and the many, I mean, 50 countries. Yet again, many countries worldwide are calling for ceasefire, but Netanyahu's government has backing of Washington and London, by the way. Unchallenged backing of Washington and London, and in such a condition, I don't think Netanyahu's government or Netanyahu himself will listen to anybody. He will continue with this operation in Gaza. RT is reporting that Putin, by the way, will take part in BRICS emergency summit, which will take place today. He will participate via a video call, and the major topic of this emergency summit will be situation in the Palestine. So let me read several sentences. Russia's President Vladimir Putin will join emergency video conference with the other BRICS leaders on Tuesday to discuss the ongoing escalation between Israel and Palestine. Palestinian Hamas militant group, the Kremlin said in a statement on Monday. The presidential administration provided no further details about the upcoming event. Well, yet again, it's the same story. What BRICS can do really? How BRICS can pressure Netanyahu and his government to stop military operations and begin, or at least stop pounding Gaza Strip. I mean, if Israeli side will conduct some special operations with special forces, if they will pinpoint location of Hamas militants and take action in that manner, world may not be that upset. But when they are demolishing entire neighborhoods and then are saying that one or two Hamas terrorists may be there and that's why they did strike, I mean, this makes world become angry, because how you can kill 100, 200 and more people just because you had some intelligence that maybe one or two Hamas members are in that area? Are you crazy? But yet again, with as long as Washington is backing Netanyahu and London, they will change nothing. And this BRICS summit, it's good that it will take place and there will be some discussion about situation in the Middle East. And they will try as much as they can to have some positive influence to de-escalate in the region. But what they really can do, that's the question. Let's continue. RT is reporting. And dear friends, maybe you all did notice, like I did, that these days, by the way, especially yesterday, escalation is reaching some new highs between Israel and Lebanon, between Israel and Lebanese Hezbollah. Just look at this, man. This is Gaza Strip here. These icons are points of some military actions, and look at this area here. This is a borderline. This is border and bordering regions of northern Israel and southern Lebanon. So sites are more increasingly Lebanese Hezbollah and Israeli IDF are more increasingly conducting operations against each other, and I'm afraid if nothing is done, at some point Hezbollah will become engaged in this confrontation with full force, and then Netanyahu's government probably will call for US assistance, and US will become involved in this confrontation with some other NATO member states, and after that it will not take long, I'm afraid, until some other regional countries will also end up in this confrontation, including Iran, by the way. And when this will happen, if this will happen, and let's hope it will not, but if this will happen, of course, navigation in the Persian Gulf and through Hormuz Strait will stop, and Western ruling class will probably be happy about it, because in that case they will cut China from Middle Eastern energy sources, which is a primarily reason why Western ruling class and Western secret services may and probably will provoke further escalation of this crisis, to provoke regional war, exactly to cut navigation in the Persian Gulf and cut China from Middle Eastern energy sources. But let's see how the situation developed. And this is also quite interesting news, by the way. RT is reporting that President of Erdogan did made a few suggestions for Prime Minister of Armenia. What a surprise, isn't it? Who would expect that President of Turkey will, suggest something to Prime Minister of Armenia? If you take in account very difficult relationships between the two countries. So let me read several sentences. Armenia should work with Turkey and Azerbaijan to build peace instead of looking to West for weapons and training. Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan said on Monday in a thinly veiled criticism of the US and France. Some Western powers have yet to realize that the Karabakh war has changed the Caucasus and the entire region, Erdogan said in a press conference after a lengthy cabinet meeting in Ankara. He was referring to last month's epilogue to the 2020 conflict, which saw Azerbaijan reclaim the disputed territory of Nagorno-Karabakh, following by the exodus of local ethnic Armenians. Well, of course, Pashinyan will not listen to Erdogan. Pashinyan will not listen to nobody except his Western masters. And I remind you, dear friends, that Pashinyan is an asset of Soros funds. And whenever we are talking about Soros, of course, we are talking about U.S. Secret Services. And Pashinyan only will listen to Washington and possibly to some other Western capitals, major capitals, including Paris. And that's it. He will do nothing. He will do nothing to de-escalate or to become a figure of positive figure for Armenia or for the region. Whatever he is told, that's what he will do. He is a puppet, nothing else. He cannot be taken seriously, and Moscow does not take him seriously, by the way. Officially, of course, we're not going to hear that kind of statements, but actions also speak volumes. And I did see many instances when Russian officials find it extremely difficult to take Pashinyan as a serious political figure and to have any discussions with him. Let's see what Armenia will gain with this prime minister. At this point, Armenia is only losing. And I remind you, dear friends, that just recently, Pashinyan did spoke about risks that Armenia with Azerbaijan will further escalate with Armenia, and he was complaining because Azerbaijani media, Azerbaijani political establishment, not maybe on the top level, but in general, began using terminology Western Azerbaijan in regards to Armenia. And Pashinyan did said that this may indicate that Azerbaijan may sometime in the future further escalate with Armenia, which is definitely a possibility, by the way, which is definitely a possibility, because I said quite a few times before that that Azerbaijan will definitely try to establish land bridge with Nakhichevan Autonomous Republic. This is Azerbaijan here, by the way. This is Armenia. I can understand that it's difficult to see border lines, but this is Azerbaijan, this is Armenia, and this is Nakhichevan Autonomous Republic, which is also part of Azerbaijan, but has no land bridge with the mainland. It's bordering just Armenia, Turkey, and Iran. And I was saying for a long time that if Pashinyan and his government, or if their Western masters were thinking that they will allow Azerbaijan without any significant fight to establish control over Nagorno-Karabakh and all the other regions that was under Armenian control previously. And in that case, Armenia will receive chance to join EU and NATO in the fast pace. They were very much mistaken, because Azerbaijan will definitely try to establish land bridge with Nakhichevan. In that case, Armenia will end up in military confrontation again. Armenia will have a territorial dispute, and of course, country that is in conflict and has some territorial disputes cannot join NATO according to NATO's draft documents. And that's what will happen. I have no doubts about it. So Armenia under Pashinyan only losing, by the way, did not gain anything whatsoever. And yesterday, Kremlin also commented on Pashinyan's statements that Azerbaijan is preparing yet another military escalation. And well, Press Secretary of Russian President Dmitry Peskov, while commenting the statements of Pashinyan, did said that he has no information about Azerbaijani plans to wage some war or military operation. All he hears from Yerevan is that they will achieve peace they will sign peace treaty with Azerbaijan. So good luck with that. That's basically Moscow's response. And what else you expect, really? As I said, man, for Russian officials, of course, they're gonna be diplomatic always, and or as much as possible. But I guess they find it extremely difficult to take Pashinyan seriously as a serious political figure. He is a puppet of Soros, by the way. How are you gonna take seriously puppet of Soros? I mean, come on. Let's continue. RIA Novosti is reporting also about a statement of Peskov, Dmitry Peskov, press spokesman of Russian president, about a decision of the Finnish government to shut down all the checkpoints with Russia, all the border crossings with Russia, and Peskov said that this is yet another Russophobic position of Finnish government, and Moscow can only be saddened by this decision. Moscow is not happy that Helsinki is taking these steps, but at the same time Moscow can do nothing. It's a decision of Finnish government, and Москва может ли сожалеть? Let me translate this. Let me translate these few sentences. So, the Russophobic position of the Finnish authorities causes Moscow regret. The press secretary of the Russian president said, commenting on the closure of several checkpoints on the border of the two states. It's unlikely that we are now able to influence these decisions of decisions of the Finnish authorities, because there is no dialogue as such, and is not our fault. In fact, we were not the initiators of curtailing the dialogue. This causes nothing but deep regret. So yes, Moscow is not happy that Helsinki is escalating and closing borders. And by the way, we had reports that for 22nd of November, for tomorrow, Finland may close all, and this is TASS News Agency's report also, that Finland may close all the border crossings with Russia. Formally, Helsinki is doing this to stop this wave of refugees from third parties, from third countries, mainly from Middle East and from African nations. But yet again, Russian side sees these actions of Finland as unfriendly and Russophobic. Under whatever pretext Helsinki is acting from Russia, it seems like they are acting against Russia, because they are closing borders with Russia, isn't it? Anyway, let's continue. RT is reporting that Argentina won't join BRICS. Newly elected president of Argentina stated So Argentina is not planning to become a member of BRICS on January 1st. Diana Maduro, senior economic advisor to the country's president-elect Javier Milei, told Sputnik Brazil on Monday. And by the way, this newly elected president Javier Milei also pledged to stay away from China and Brazil, from Russia, just from BRICS, just from everybody. He's a puppet of Washington, as I understand. As more I learn about this individual, less respect I have towards this creature. He will destroy Argentina finally, I guess. And well, if Argentina will not join BRICS, I guess that will be best for BRICS. Just, you know, with these crazy individuals in government, well, BRICS will be better off without Argentina, 100%, man. They should be grateful that BRICS countries invite Argentina, because Brazil wanted it, by the way. Not because Moscow was very keen to invite Argentina or China or India or South Africa, man. No, Brazil was demanding Argentina to join BRICS. Despite the fact that Argentina has some more than 100% inflation, by the way. Argentina's economy is in deep trouble. And in respect and in support of Brazil, BRICS, other members of the BRICS did make decision to, okay, you know, like, let's invite Argentina also. Although everyone knew, of course, that it will cost BRICS countries billions and billions to support Argentina's economy, to participate in institutional reforms, which is necessary for Argentina, and so on. It will be very costly for BRICS, 100%. And if under this crazy individual, this clown, by the way, this Javier Milei, do you see how he was acting on one of the, while during one of his speeches, man? He was jumping up and down like crazy clown, man. What Argentinian people were thinking? Who they vote for, man? For crazy clown? Really? That's quite something. I did not expect that this idiot is such a mess, but he is, man. So if BRICS will, if Argentina will stay out of BRICS, BRICS will be better off 100%. I mean, come on, let's be real here. Argentina did not deserve to become part of BRICS, man. They are not in a position, in any sense, to become a part of BRICS. And when I hear first time Argentina will join BRICS, I had the very same thoughts that does Argentina's economy in a situation stable enough to join BRICS? Because BRICS, after all, is economical organization, isn't it? So good development for BRICS, by the way. Argentina, deal with your mess, you know, like learn better, act better, and then you're welcome to BRICS. But as long as you are choosing, by the way, these clowns, crazy clowns, as your leader, sorry, but you know, we should go with you know, different ways. Ask US for support. They will, you know, they did support. As we know, they are very supportive. They will send you a couple of bombs, man, if you want to. Anyway, let's continue. RIA Novosti is reporting that I've been sarcastic, by the way, of course, but when I see some videos about this clown, man, this Javier Milei, when I read some more who he is and what he stands for and his statements, come on, man, how you can support this kind of animal, man? Come on. RIA Novosti is reporting that, well, trade between Russia and China have been almost completely de-dollarized, and 90% of trade is done now in national currencies, which is great news. Which is great news for both sides. Hopefully, Russia will continue this path, and trade with other countries will also become de-dollarized as much as possible, because it will strengthen Russian currency also, of course. And this is gonna be last news for today's update. RT is reporting that Russians snap up homes in the EU country despite sanctions. That's quite interesting. So Russians have stepped up purchases of real estate in Spain. RBK news outlet reported on Thursday, citing data from Spain's General Council of Notariuses. According to the report, the number of properties bought by Russians in June rose by 50.2% compared to the same period of last year, and amounted to 2,137 homes. Sales to Russians exceeded 2,000 for the first time since 2014, when they bought 2,573 properties. Well, numbers maybe are low, not some crazy numbers, 2,000, 3,000. Okay, but I have just one question, man. What these people are thinking? What these people that are buying properties in the Western states, in immensely anti-Russian and Russophobic states, by the way, what they are thinking of? Spanish government any day can make a decision and steal their property, you know, under whatever pretext. Just steal their property, froze it, or call it whatever you want, but that's a stealing, basically. That's how I see it. And how these people manage to make this money if they are so stupid, man, that they are investing in the countries that are enemies to Russia? I find it difficult, man. I'm talking about elites, by the way. Of course, I'm not talking about relationships between the people, but it's elites, so-called elites and governments that are making decisions, isn't it? No one is asking people. So how these thousands of individuals make that much money that they can invest in Spanish, in this case, Spanish real estate, if they are that stupid that they do not realize that they may lose this real estate, this investment, any day? I don't know, man. I don't know. If I had any chance to buy home, I will buy home in Russia. But these ones probably have, I don't know, many homes in Russia, and they wanted some nice place somewhere out of Russia. But why you are choosing countries that are acting hostile towards your country, man? I don't know. I don't know. If I was even, I don't know, millionaire, by the way, did not invest single ruble in the countries that are hostile to Russia. This is it. This is it for now. And well, hopefully you will find this video interesting. And if so, please consider to click that like button and leave some commentary about any topic you like. And if you can, please share links to my videos or my channel with your friends on any of the platforms that you are active on. And if you think this project is, with several channels, is interesting, useful, deserves to exist, then please consider to support with small donations through PayPal, buy me a coffee, or by subscribing to my Patreon page. You can see links under this video in the description box or in the pinned comment. This is it for now. Yet again, quite a long update, but hopefully you will find it interesting. Have a great day and take care.